You probably think keeping your cat healthy means buying better food or expensive supplements, but some of the most powerful health boosters are already sitting in your home, quietly unused. There are hidden patterns and everyday habits that most owners completely overlook. 1. You've probably seen this without thinking twice. Your cat walks past their water bowl, ignores it completely, and then suddenly becomes obsessed with the sink or a random glass of water on your table. Most people assume it's just a weird preference, maybe even stubbornness, but what's actually happening is much deeper. In the wild, still water can mean danger, bacteria, contamination. While moving water signals freshness and safety, your cat isn't being picky. It's following a survival instinct that directly affects hydration. And here's where it matters. Even slight dehydration in cats quietly stresses the kidneys over time. Something as simple as offering water in a different bowl, a wider dish, or even dropping a bit of water into their food can change how much they drink without you realizing it. It's one of those invisible adjustments that doesn't feel important until you understand what it's protecting. 2. There's a moment that looks almost lazy, but it's actually one of the easiest ways to support your cat's entire body. Your cat is lying in a warm patch of sunlight, stretched out, completely still. It seems like pure comfort, nothing more. But that sunlight is doing something subtle inside them. Cats naturally seek warmth not just for comfort, but because it reduces the amount of energy their body needs to maintain temperature. When they stay warm, more energy goes toward internal processes, like digestion, immune function, even healing. Indoor cats often don't get enough of this natural regulation. A simple shift, making sure there's a consistent warm spot, even a blanket near a window, can quietly support their system every single day. It's not about luxury. It's about giving their body the conditions it was designed to function in. 3. You might have noticed your cat sniff your food with intense focus, especially things like fish, eggs, or even plain chicken, and then look at you like they're expecting something. Most people brush this off or assume human food is automatically harmful, but the truth is more nuanced. Certain simple, unseasoned foods you already have can act like targeted support for your cat's body. For example, a small amount of cooked egg delivers a near-perfect protein profile that helps repair muscle and support the immune system. Plain chicken is so easy for their body to process that it's often used when a cat is recovering from stress or illness. The deeper layer here is that your cat's body recognizes these foods instinctively. When you offer small, appropriate amounts, you're not just feeding them. You're giving their system something it immediately knows how to use. And once you see how they respond, it changes how you think about cat food entirely. 4. There's a behavior that feels affectionate on the surface, but it's also quietly tied to your cat's health. Your cat comes up, rubs against your legs, your hands, sometimes even your face over and over again. It feels like bonding, and it is. But it's also part of how cats regulate their environment. When they mark you with their scent, they're creating a sense of stability and familiarity. That emotional stability directly affects physical health. Cats under low stress maintain better digestion, stronger immune responses, and more balanced behavior overall. What most owners don't realize is how small disruptions, new smells, sudden changes, even your absence can unsettle that balance. Simply allowing these scent-marking moments, not pushing them away, and maintaining consistent routines creates a stable territory your cat's body can relax in. And a relaxed cat is a healthier cat in ways that aren't immediately visible but build over time. 5. There's one small moment most people completely overlook, and it might be affecting your cat more than anything else you do. You feed them, you clean, you go about your day, and your cat eats quickly or cautiously, sometimes looking around between bites. It seems normal, but eating for a cat is one of the most vulnerable states they experience. In the wild, lowering their head to eat means reduced awareness, increased risk. If your cat doesn't feel fully secure, their body stays in a low-level stress state even while eating. That changes digestion, nutrient absorption, even how much they're willing to eat. Something as simple as sitting nearby calmly, not interfering, just being present, can shift that entire experience. You become a signal of safety. Over time, you'll notice slower eating, more relaxed posture, fewer digestive issues. It's such a small action, but it taps into something fundamental. Your presence doesn't just comfort your cat, it physically changes how their body processes the basics of survival. 6. There's a quiet detail most people miss during grooming. You pet your cat, they seem to enjoy it, maybe even lean into your hand, and then the moment you stop, they start licking the exact spot you just touched. It feels like they're undoing what you did, like you somehow got it wrong. But that reaction isn't rejection, it's integration. Cats rely heavily on scent to understand their world, and when you touch them, you leave your scent behind. Grooming that spot is how they process and blend that scent into their own. It's a biological way of saying, this is now part of me. And here's where it becomes more than just behavior. When this exchange happens regularly, it reinforces familiarity, lowers stress, and stabilizes their internal state. Something as simple as consistent, gentle touch in the same areas, head, neck, shoulders, becomes a daily health input. Not because of the touch itself, but because of what it tells your cat's nervous system. Everything here is safe, predictable, and known. 7. You've seen your cat suddenly lose interest in food they used to love. Same brand, same bowl, same routine. But now they sniff it, hesitate, maybe walk away. It's easy to assume they've just become picky. But cats don't randomly reject food without reason. Their senses are constantly evaluating freshness, smell, even subtle changes you wouldn't notice. In the wild, eating the wrong thing can be fatal, so hesitation is built into them. What many owners don't realize is that something as small as leaving food out too long or storing it improperly can change how your cat perceives it. Even dry food can oxidize and lose its appeal, and when a cat starts eating less, even slightly, it affects hydration, energy levels, and organ function over time. A simple shift, smaller portions, fresher servings, occasionally warming food slightly, can completely reset their interest. It's not about spoiling them. It's about aligning with a system that's designed to detect things you can't. 8. There's a moment late in the evening when your cat suddenly becomes active, walking around, watching you, sometimes even staring without doing anything. It can feel random, even slightly unsettling, but this is one of the most important windows in your cat's natural rhythm. Cats are crepuscular, meaning their bodies are wired for peak activity at dawn and dusk. If that energy has nowhere to go, it doesn't just disappear, it builds. And that buildup doesn't just lead to zoomies or nighttime chaos. It can turn into stress, restlessness, even subtle behavioral issues over time. What's often missing isn't more toys or more stimulation throughout the day. It's a short, focused release at the right time. Just a few minutes of active play in the evening, something that mimics hunting, chasing, capturing, can regulate that entire cycle. You're not just tiring them out. You're completing a biological loop their body expects every single day. And when that loop is complete, everything else, sleep, appetite, mood, starts to stabilize naturally. 9. You might not connect this to health at all, but it quietly shapes everything. Think about where your cat chooses to rest when the house is calm. Not the bed you bought, not the designated spot, but that one place they return to over and over again. Maybe it's a chair, a corner, a specific shelf. That choice isn't random. Cats map their environment based on safety, visibility, and control. If they don't feel they have a secure place where they can observe without being disturbed, their body never fully relaxes. And a body that never fully relaxes stays in a low-level stress state. Over time, that affects digestion, immune response, even how they interact with you. What changes everything is not adding more options, but protecting the one they already chose. Let it stay theirs. Don't move it. Don't disturb it unnecessarily. Because that one consistent place becomes their reset point. And every time they return to it, their system recalibrates back to calm. 10. There's something your cat does that looks almost insignificant, but it might be one of the clearest indicators of their overall well-being. You walk into a room and your cat doesn't rush to you, doesn't meow, doesn't demand attention. They just look at you, and slowly blink. Most people barely register it. It feels passive, almost like indifference. But in the language of cats, this is one of the highest signals of trust and emotional stability. In nature, closing your eyes, even briefly, means lowering your defenses. A cat that does this in your presence is saying something very specific. I feel safe enough to let my guard down. And here's what most owners miss. This kind of trust isn't just emotional, it's physiological. A cat that feels safe has lower stress hormones, better digestion, stronger immunity. That single slow blink is the visible surface of an internal state you've helped create. And when you return it, slowly, calmly, you're reinforcing that state. Not with food, not with toys, but with something deeper. A shared signal that everything is okay. 11. There's a quiet shift that happens when your cat chooses to be near you, without asking for anything. No meowing, no rubbing, no clear demand. They just sit a few feet away, maybe facing you, maybe not. It's easy to overlook because nothing is happening. But this is one of the most revealing moments in your cat's daily life. Cats don't stay close without purpose. In the wild, proximity is a calculated decision tied to safety and trust. When your cat settles near you like this, they're not bored. They're regulating themselves through your presence. Your breathing, your movements, even your stillness becomes part of their environment. And here's the deeper part. Consistent, calm proximity like this lowers their baseline stress over time. You don't have to do anything. Just existing in a predictable, non-threatening way becomes a form of support their body quietly depends on. It's not about interaction. It's about presence becoming something your cat can rely on. 12. Think about the moments when your cat suddenly disappears. Not for minutes, but for longer stretches where you genuinely don't know where they went. Most people assume they're just sleeping somewhere hidden. And yes, they often are, but the reason behind that choice is more important than it looks. Cats instinctively seek out enclosed, quiet spaces when they need to reset. It's not avoidance, it's self-regulation. Their senses are constantly active, constantly processing sound, movement, change. Without periods of complete withdrawal, that system becomes overloaded. What matters here is whether your cat actually has a place where they feel safe enough to disappear. A box, a covered bed, a quiet corner that isn't disturbed. If they don't truly switch off. And a cat that never fully switches off stays in a subtle state of alertness that slowly affects their health. Giving them permission to vanish and respecting it isn't distance. It's one of the most supportive things you can offer. 13. There's a detail hidden inside your cat's eating rhythm that most people never question. Not what they eat, but how often they return to the bowl. You might notice your cat taking small bites, walking away, then coming back later. It can seem inconsistent, even inconvenient. But this pattern mirrors how cats eat in nature. Small, frequent meals tied to multiple successful hunts. When we compress feeding into 1 or 2 large portions, it disrupts that rhythm. The body adapts, but not perfectly. Energy spikes, digestion changes, hunger cues become less reliable. What's interesting is how quickly things shift when feeding becomes more aligned with their natural pattern. Smaller portions, spaced out, even slightly, can stabilize energy, reduce overeating, and support metabolism in a way that feels almost invisible. It's not about feeding more, it's about feeding in a way their body recognizes. And once you see that pattern, you start realizing how many normal routines were never really designed for them. 14. There's a moment that feels almost emotional, but most people brush past it too quickly to understand what it actually means. Your cat comes up, presses their head into you, maybe holds it there for a second longer than usual. It feels affectionate, simple, easy to interpret. But this behavior, bunting, is far more intentional than it looks. Cats have scent glands in their forehead, and when they press into you, they're leaving a chemical marker. Not randomly, deliberately. In their world, scent defines what is safe, what belongs, what is part of their inner circle. So when your cat does this, they're not just showing affection, they're reinforcing a bond that exists on a level deeper than behavior. And here's why that matters. A cat that actively marks you like this is anchoring themselves to you. You are part of how they understand their environment, part of how they stay calm. That small gesture is a reminder that your presence isn't just familiar, it's essential to their sense of stability. 15. There's one pattern that ties everything together, and it's so subtle most people never consciously notice it. Your cat is constantly adjusting to you. The way they move when you enter a room, how they settle when you sit down, how their energy shifts depending on your tone, your pace, even your mood. It doesn't happen dramatically, it happens quietly, continuously. Over time, your cat learns you, your rhythms, your habits, your emotional patterns, and begins to synchronize with them. Studies on bonded cats show they can read human states within seconds, adjusting their own behavior in response. But here's the part that changes how you see everything. Your cat's health isn't just shaped by what you feed them or how you care for them physically. It's shaped by the environment you create through your presence. Your consistency, your energy, your attention, or lack of it, becomes something their body responds to every single day. Which means this isn't just about your cat anymore. It's about the space you share. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. 16. If you step back and look at everything your cat does throughout the day, a pattern starts to emerge that's easy to miss when you're focused on individual moments. The water preferences, the way they eat, where they sit, how they touch you, when they become active, it's not random, it's a system. Each small behavior is your cat adjusting its environment to feel stable, safe, and physically balanced. And what's surprising is how often that system depends on things you control without realizing it. The bowl placement, the timing of your presence, the consistency of your routine. Your cat isn't just reacting to you occasionally, it's continuously calibrating around you. Once you see that, those small, insignificant actions stop feeling small. They become signals. And suddenly, your home isn't just where your cat lives, it's something your cat is constantly shaping, with you at the center of it. 17. There's a different way to look at your cat that most people never reach, and it changes the feeling of every interaction after that. Instead of seeing behaviors as isolated quirks, drinking here, sleeping there, rubbing against you, you start seeing them as forms of communication that all point in the same direction. Your cat is building a relationship with you using the only language it has: routine, proximity, scent, timing, and the deeper realization is this. Your cat doesn't need big dramatic actions from you. It responds to consistency, the same calm presence when it eats, the same safe reaction when it approaches, the same predictable environment day after day. That's what builds trust. That's what supports its health. Not perfection, not complexity, just reliability. And when that reliability is there, your cat doesn't just exist in your home. It settles into it fully, both physically and emotionally. So now I want to ask you something. Honestly, when you look at your cat after this, what's the one behavior you realize you've been misunderstanding this whole time? And how many of these small patterns are actually happening in your home right now without you noticing before? Let me know in the comments, and if this changed how you see your cat even a little, you'll probably start noticing things you can't unsee anymore.